Hey guys, Clementine here, and I had a question come to me about motivation, so I'm going to speak to that today. What is actually motivation, and how can we go about our lives a little differently? So I'm going to start with talking about from the body's perspective. So if you step on a tack, do you require motivation to move your foot? Or are you just like, that hurts, and you take your foot off? So the body has a natural response. We have a natural response to pain. We don't require somebody to explain to us why we should take our foot off the tack. So our being, our spirit is the same way, actually. So we have our natural state is to feel good. Your being enjoys the ease and the fun and the happy place. It enjoys being in the flow. It enjoys feeling alive and you allowing yourself that full expression of aliveness and receiving and being in, communion with the world and the universe. So that's what our being really actually prefers. And then we step on a metaphorical tap. We do something that, is against the flow of ourselves, against the grain of ourselves. And our beings are like, whoa, that doesn't feel so good. And what do? We usually ignore it, or we numb it out. We distract ourselves. We pretend, well, maybe we pretend that it's not happening, or maybe we just decide that's just the way it is, or that's just the way it has to be, or this is always my luck. And then we're building a frequency to attract more like challenges so we can verify and validate to ourselves that we really have these problems. And we set in motion something, this whole contrived narrative that really isn't about our beings, and it really isn't about who we are actually in truth. And what happens is the universe is sending us little messages. It's giving us nudges. It's like, hey, you're off course. Hey, these things aren't quite going right. And we're like, no, I'm not listening to that. I really like my story. And so it gets louder, and we're building relationships and trying new things from this place that is not congruent with who we are. And, when you're feeling funky and you start a relationship from feeling funky, what's the quality of that relationship? In fact, who's that person that you've attracted to that frequency, and are they really congruent with you? So there's so many ways to look at how not listening to the ow changes what we're up to. So then if we don't listen, our beings go, I really need your attention here. So I'm going to talk to your body, and your body's going to help me out. And the body starts to hurt. And maybe it's just a dull ache at first, but it'll get louder if you don't pay attention. Body's always talking. It's always reflecting to you the resistance that you're having in your world. So the actual motivation is inherent. Your being is saying, get off the damn tack. So that's already there. What really you want to start looking at is, what am I avoiding? So if you are off track with yourself, but that heaviness is a momentum that you're feeding, if you're putting all your attention on, I need this and I don't have that, and I don't, these are all the things that I've decided I must have, rather than, oh, it's already here when I allow myself to be present with it. And then there's something that you're really avoiding there. So perhaps there's a misconstrued notion of who you actually are. That's a big thing. All those definitions you think you are, and all of those judgments you think you are, that's a version that you've made up, but that's not really who you be. So the first thing is just to give yourself some big perspective. Back way up, expand way out, go sit amongst the stars or something and look at your life from this grand perspective. Get a sense of you outside of your storyline. Feel that inner smile, feel that joy, perceive that infiniteness, and recognize that is always there. And what have you made so incredibly vital about avoiding that and then telling the world, hey, motivate me to get there again? The world's wrapped up in its own chaos, in its own drama. It's not here to motivate you. Everyone's, actually asking to be the being they really are ultimately. So start with questions with yourself. What am I avoiding is a huge question. It just keeps coming back and back into my brain. So that might be great clues for you. Am I really committed to having a life? What am I committed to? Am I committed to suffering? Am I committed to struggle? Am I committed to complaining? Am I committed to this frequency I'm on? Or can I redirect my attentions to how I know I get to live and create from there? So anything that you want to do that you're looking for motivation for, what if you did it because it feels good to do it? Even if it's challenging, even if it pushes your comfort zone, you're here. You have a life. You get to do with it whatever you want to do with it. And if you stay in your comfort zone always and forever, is that the life that 50 years from now you look back, you're going to go, yep, I'm sure happy I stayed in my comfort zone? No, it's probably not going to happen. Maybe a handful of you that will happen. But for most of us, we're going to look back and go, damn, that's a bummer. I had all of this infinite choices. I had all of these resources. I had this incredible body. I had amazing people around me that I didn't see through those lenses. And I didn't make the choices I could have made. So maybe that's useful. Maybe that's how you can frame motivation for yourself. But what if you just choose because you get to? So like always, this is just a conversation starter. I'm happy to keep going, throw out some more questions. Let's see where we can go with this idea of motivation. And we'll see you next time.